I've already made an entire 45-minute video on this topic, but this video that you're going to watch right now is the clearest example of why something needs to change now about Mythic Plus pugging. Let's just go ahead and watch the actual action take place first, and then I will give some context, some background, and what I believe should change right now in order to fix this problem.
Nope, he eventually said ready.
Find shelter.
Oh, that hunter just ate that devourer. Look at that.
3, 2, 1.
Break down. Find shelter.
Three, two, one.
Break down.
And now the priest is getting eaten.
Find shelter.
Wow.
3, 2, 1.
All right, well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Let's go ahead and take a breakdown of all of it. That's the entire key, by the way. I wanted to show that whole thing for you guys. So here comes the first real mechanic of the fight. Obviously, there's the fear of the hunter. He tries to jump. You can kind of see it. Like, let's go ahead and look at that a little bit more closely. It's hard to see from this camera angle, especially with everything on the top of the screen, but that's him there. You can kind of see him under the buffs. It's not very easy to see, but you can see the eyes there. He is trying to get away, but apparently doesn't, and then he gets eaten. Now this is a 16. The healer actually does a pretty decent job of keeping him alive. I don't know what you can actually do while you're in there, but I'm pretty sure that probably should not have been a death one way or the other. The other thing that the hunter doesn't know is that you can also feign that. It's actually overpowered as shit. Like, you can feign it and then it stops the mechanic. But here we have the first comment of the key, and that is a triple dot. So, you know, whenever you see the triple dot, you know you're in trouble. Now this is where it gets really fucking funny, because the guy who just triple dotted the hunter, he starts running it the wrong fucking direction. Like, where the fuck are you going? Why would you go that way? And maybe he realizes that, because then he comes back and gets eaten. I mean, like, look at this. What is this? I have no idea why you would ever do this. The dude's probably seething. He's ready to type something, and then he probably panicked. He realizes it's on him. You see him run towards that direction of the water, probably then realizes that is not a good direction to go, and stops running that direction and runs back to the boss. So it's either, complete panic, probably not paying attention at all, which I would vote for as the real reason, but perhaps he at this point realizes he wants to leave the key, so he just runs in and suicides. But then, you know, you might have missed something. Maybe you'll catch something if we rewatch that little clip right there. See that thing? That's a fucking angel, dude. That guy's name is Semi-AFK Disc Priest, and he's playing a holy priest. Now we're tanking him in like the worst possible position you could tank him in. I don't think the tank even cares. He's probably trying to wipe at this point, but yeah, so we're getting feared. The fight's failing. Oh, but what was that? What just happened there, huh? So look at this. The paladin has battle res the priest priest, and it's a full wipe. The tank's dead. The healer takes it and fucking dies again. Wow, what a surprise. Hey, there's another angel on the screen. I always love seeing those ones. And then that's it. We release, and semi-AFK Disc, who's not only got the wrong name, but got the wrong spec and the wrong attitude, leaves the 16, probably the easiest key we've ever had. Congratulations, semi-AFK Disc. You actually managed to make the fight look like it does something. That's really funny. There's a reason I hate running my own key. Cop has the exact same phobia of it as me. I hate me having something and somebody else kind of ruining it for me, taking it away from me. And if I did this and somebody actually did this to my key, it would really reinforce that phobia. When somebody else is like insanely selfish with something that you offer them when you had the choice of picking so many different people on the planet, it really bothers me. And that is probably the same way Cop feels about it. And I take some responsibility for this, him even doing this key. This was his key, and I brought it up to him. I was like, bro, you have a 16 at Taldazar. You're sitting here piddling around at 15, 16 level. Like, let's go double upgrade that 16, then do the 18, and you'll have a great vault, and you'll have gear, and, you know, all the rest happens. So there are actually some things that happen before the key that are interesting as well and really lean into this whole problem. So I just want to give you that context here as well right now.
Got Vengeance Demon Hunter and Dick's Priest. Let's grab those guys.
You could hear the instant regret in his voice. Like, he is really pained by taking those, and he should be. Do not ever take a duo. Whenever you're pugging your own key and you take a duo, you bring two people who have some affiliation ahead of the keystone. They care about each other more than they care about the key. There's a little bit more for the context as well.
Apparently we have to summon them.
That is a total red flag. Really, this is the best example. Like, you're never going to see all the stars align on somebody who's both entitled, selfish, like foolish, everything about it. You have predicted it, and it went exactly as expected. Anybody who demands a summon to a key is like, they believe they're more important than the key, right? And it's so much worse when you're the group leader and you invited somebody like that. It tells you, like, they just don't really care. They want you to bring them there. Otherwise, they're not coming. Especially now with the portal room, this is completely inexcusable. This is a huge pet peeve of mine, but it is a clear indicator of somebody who's already got that I'm better than you selfish mentality. I can't possibly get to the key I signed up to, so you need to do something about that. And yeah, like I said, this is the best example you could possibly ever get. Really, all the warning signs too. Like, yeah, you got a meme name, like a stupid name of a character. You got a stupid name of a guild. Another great indication that you've invited a bad player. The guy doesn't need the key. Now, this was done 7 hours ago, so I'm pretty sure this was after Cop sent this to me. Like, I don't think this happened beforehand, but either way, he 2 days ago, so he had a double upgrade 17. He doesn't need the key, so he's pretty much only doing this to like help his friend out, I guess. These guys are 3 of 9 mythic. I don't know why anybody in this guild needs a freaking 16, but okay, sure thing. They're helping each other out. Wow, great camaraderie there. Until the guy bricks the key, right? Like, I mean, dude, you can still upgrade this key. It is absolutely insane to me. But all that stuff is stuff we've been talking about for years. When you're forming a group, be very careful with the people who you invite. It's getting worse out there, man. And the problem is this super selfish, I'm the only person who matters mentality. That guy gets away with that. He thinks everything he just did there is justified, and he moves on with his life. So something new that we've been talking about and something I've started doing, how do you solve this? Obviously, like I said, I made a 45-minute video. That video is going to be linked down below. If you didn't watch that, you really should. I get it, it's long. In that video, there's a bunch of timestamps for the big, like, hard-hitting parts of the video that we're going on rants about. So, you know, if you only have like 20-some minutes, go watch that instead. But regardless, the ultimate goal here is Blizzard does something, or like, you know, changes the game to facilitate fixing this problem. I don't want to talk about ways to fix the problem like that again, okay? We talked about this to death. Let's just move on from that. Until Blizzard does something, it's not really going to change. But yeah, the new thing, what we should focus on is the fact that this is a social issue. Like, right, this guy and I guess his friend or whatever, like, they think they're justified in leaving, even though like they've done nothing to improve the situation. So how do you combat that, right? Like, as a social issue, how do you actually do something about this. Like I said, Blizzard will hopefully eventually do something, but for now, how do we combat this? I think it's pretty clear. The reason that these guys do this kind of thing is because they think there is no repercussions of it, that there is no reason for them not to do it, that it is in their best interest to do it. That needs to change socially. That needs to change, like obviously physically too, but that primarily needs to change socially. But I think this is the right choice, and I think if everybody did this, everything would get better very quickly. When somebody does something that is incredibly selfish, simply tell them that it is selfish and their actions are unacceptable. Now, I know that sounds really basic, but it's the best way to do it, because if you think about it, they do it, nothing gets said, nothing gets done, they move on with themselves. But if you tell them, if you whisper them, hey, what you just did there is totally unacceptable, you don't need to flame them. I said this in the previous video and people were like, you're going to get reported if you do that. You're not going to get reported for messaging somebody like that. Just don't flame them. Just don't get mad at them. You have to be under control emotionally about this. Take the high road here and just remind them that what they did has impacted the lives and the keys of other players. You did something very selfish. You could even remind them that, you know, you had the pick of the litter, man. As the key holder, you can invite hundreds of different people and you chose to invite them. So how they repay you is with that selfishness. No, that is not okay. If the other 3 people in this group did that to this guy, then he would be feeling a bunch of whispers and he would have to try to defend himself, right? Saying like, I will do this anytime somebody does something like that, you know? So he's going to go ahead and do it again in the next key. Well, then in the next key, he does it, another 3 or 4 people whisper him, say like, hey man, what you did is totally unacceptable. Then gonna have to defend himself again to multiple people. What this does psychologically is it gives him negative feedback on his action. Right now, he's getting positive feedback on his action. He leaves the key, nothing gets said, no actual like damaging of the ego, no actual insults are happening, nobody seems to care that he does it. So he thinks, you know, he's getting the positive reinforcement that what he did was the right choice. So instead, what we need to do is employ like basic psychological techniques and condition him to realize that when he does something that is completely unacceptable, it has repercussions. And that's it. That's the game should do that, but the game doesn't do that. I've been doing that the last few weeks, and you know, obviously one person doing it out of the entire community isn't going to make a big impact. But if you are out there pugging and you are sick of this type of behavior, then maybe just do that too. You know, if anybody does something that's totally selfish, just simply tell them that they did it and that it's unacceptable. You don't need to argue with them. You don't need to call them names. They may call you names. That's how you know you're winning the battle. That means there's consternation in their head. You know, they're in a conflict mode now. They no longer feel like they're at peace with their decision. Now they're having to fight. Obviously, there will be some like true sociopaths, like people who just no matter how many times they get this negative feedback socially, like they just do not care. It's a little scary to be honest, because like I feel like especially like now 2023 going into 2024, the world has gotten like really antisocial. I don't mean like I have social anxiety. I mean like people just hate each other by default now. They just have no respect for other people anymore. I do think like a great amount of people in this situation that are doing this to others are actually just not really seeing the bigger picture. A lot of this is because of Raid I've scored this weird obsession with like third-party things that aren't actually like feedback from the game, but like above the game. I think like most people are, relatively good human beings out there. If you have time to play a video game, you probably live in a pretty stable community, a world that isn't in strife or conflict. There shouldn't really be a lot of hatred in your head. So it's just on us to nudge them in the right direction. Just tell them, everybody gets together and says like, hey man, this is not okay. Please stop doing this. And you know, eventually they'll have to either figure it out or probably just move on. I've said this a lot before, but like I'm being genuine when I say this. Like if you're going to come in here and defend the priest, this guy in this situation where he exhibited every negative warning sign pre the key and comes into a 16 and takes the key into his own hand over basically one death. If you think that is justified, then please just stop pugging. There's actually a lot of you out there. Like, yeah, you can easily find 4 other people who think like that as well. And it'll be a very eye-opening experience when you do, because at that point you're, you know, the priest is basically blaming somebody else's mistake, completely oblivious to his own mistake. So when you're then in a group with 4 people who all think that same way, it will really actually open up the situation to you. You'll realize that you all can't blame each other. Somebody has to take credibility. Somebody has to take responsibility for their actions, and it will make you a better player. Like this this is the best way for you to improve. While you're pugging, all you're doing is basically just like shooing away any type of blame and just running away from any challenge that you face. That's never going to make you a better player. You're running away from upgrades. Like this guy leaves a key that is clearly still upgradable. He's leaving progression on the table. He's making himself a potential worse player. So I assume you're doing keys to progress. So this is the best way for you to progress. Like your mentality is not necessarily unexpected. It's not necessarily objectively wrong either. Like I said, Blizzard does nothing to stop you from doing this, even though like most people would agree it is not good social behavior. You're not getting any negative feedback from the game other than the fact that you're now wasting your own time and potentially hurting your progression. I think you would probably want to fix that, right? So yeah, this is what I would say. Just stop pugging. Pugging is not for you. Pugging is for the people who are able to be malleable, somebody who can come into a key and adapt to mistakes, find out ways they can carry the group, find out ways that they can empower others and make them better players. It's very possible to do in this game, and it's very possible to have fun while doing it as long as other people aren't holding you back. So that's my rant on this. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure there'll be great discussion in the comment section below. Let's try to keep it on this, subtopic of the social situation here. We've talked about like physical ways Blizzard needs to change the game a million times. If you want to talk about that more, that's the video that's going to be linked in the pinned comment down below. Go and check that out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been really enjoying the season. I want to keep enjoying it. So let's just all work together to solve this, and it can get better for everybody. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys in the next one.